Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, if you watch my channel, you might either have or you will see the video for that car. Okay, ended up being a problem with the mechatronics. That car is fitted with the DSG gearbox with the DQ200 or 0AM Mechatronics. And after scanning the car, look at some live data, I found two issues with the car. One luckily was not really a big issue, but watch that video and you'll know exactly what the problem was. But the other one indeed requires for us to remove the mechatronics and figure out what is happening. So basically on live data, guys, this is what I have. So as you can see in there, I have literally no pressure being built by the mechatronics unit. As you can see, it needs somewhere between 42 and 60 bars, and as you can see is around 30 odd bars. The mechatronics pump is constantly running, never stops. You can hear it as soon as you put the key on, and it's just constantly running, as you can also see on the live data further down in there. As you can see, it never stops. So clearly we have an internal leak on the hydraulic system of these mechatronics. So we're going to try to figure out what's wrong. Maybe I have some spare parts for these mechatronics, so who knows, I might have the parts I need and I don't need to buy anything. That said, ideally at this point you want to change all the seals, etc., and that might requires for us to obviously buy some stuff. So it might be better just buy a repair kit for this and get it done. So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is drain the oil on this. So first of all, you don't want to tip this too much that way, because otherwise the oil will start coming out from the breather. So the first thing we're going to do is drain the oil. To drain the oil on this is rather simple. There is a bolt there, so you remove that and you drain it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I already have the tray here where I've drained the gearbox, so it's just going to drain that on top, get rid of the oil, and then we will proceed to remove the TCU, which is the transmission control unit, which is this part here, and then the mechatronics is this part. But for now, let's going to drain the oil and go from there. Okay, so go. It's not too bad, to be fair with you. It's not too bad. It's not too dark, so it's a good sign. If it's not too dark, it's a good sign. It's a sign that is not a lot of wear inside the mechatronics, which is good, which is really good. Okay, as much as you try, you're never going to be able to drain absolutely everything. So the rest of it will come out on the bench as you do it. You'll clean it. You don't need to worry about the quantity of oil on this. I will take you through later, but in case I forget, it's basically 1 liter that this thing takes. No more, no less. You can't really check the level on this, so if you ever are unsure that you have enough oil, you will have to drain all the oil and just put another liter of it. To fill it up, there's another bolt at the top, which I will show you later on the video. Okay, I'm quite happy. A bit more maybe. Like this, so we just keep tilting the thingy. Okay, that's okay now. Okay, I hope the position of the camera is okay for you to see what's going on here. So the first thing we're going to do now at this stage is remove the TCU. You have some, what's this, T27? No, not T20s, maybe T25s. T25s, yep. Few T25s around here. I think there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 T22s that we're going to have to remove in order to pull the TCU out. Okay, and once all the screws are removed, we should be able to pry these out. Be careful, because you can't just pull this black edge. You need to force it on the actually metal, because it's where the connections for the valves, for the solenoids, sorry, etc., is where they are. You need to be careful with that. We're just gonna need a bigger screwdriver, maybe. I think I'm gonna be getting interrupted every 2 minutes this afternoon. There we go. Okay, so right now we have the Mechatronics itself with the 8 connections for the solenoids and the connection for the pump, and we have the TCU right here. Now it is sometimes common to see, so just a little bit of information, the initial oil that Volkswagen was using, the hydraulic oil, was an oil that had a high content on some certain minerals or something like that, and over time they would start to short these electronics. As you can see, the oil gets into a lot of stuff and gets onto these connections, etc. And sometimes you can see actually in these here, where the TCU is on the other side and you have all these connections underneath, sometimes, yeah, I know, it's going to be every 2 minutes. And as I was saying, sometimes you can see on these boards when they short and they start to melt, sort of. These one, I don't know if that would happen before the failure or whatever, or if the module would still be working in those conditions, but this module is actually quite good. I can't really see anything. I'm going to give you a good clean, obviously, everywhere, but for now we don't need this anymore. I don't believe there's nothing wrong with this, so we're going to put this onto the side, which is going to be maybe with this. Okay, let's gonna put it onto the side. I don't need this for now. There we go. So now we're gonna focus on this. So on this side, we don't have nothing to do now on this side unless we get a repair kit and we're gonna replace these rubber seals, etc. But for now we don't have nothing else to do on this side, although there's oil now just holding in here, so we're gonna drain as much as we can. There's some oil in there as well, so we're going to drain into there, and then we're going to have to flip these over to carry on opening the Mechatronics. Before we turn it around, I just thought I would give a quick cleaning around here. I use this small spatula, and then what we will do is with a really thin sandpaper, we'll just sandpaper all these around. Make sure we have a clean and smooth surface. Some areas are actually clean, but some other ones, especially here at the bottom, is not very nice. go. So a tiny bit of really thin sandpaper. Make this a smooth surface for the next seal. Okay, now on this side we are going to remove these screws, or these bolts I would say. Okay, and once you have everything removed, this cover should just come off. That's right. So I'm just going to put these here on the side as well. Okay, so now we have our Mechatronics. The motor, as we've seen, is still running, so I'm not going to replace this motor. Hopefully it hasn't been constantly running for too long and it's still gonna last. And I'm just curious to find out why we are getting no pressure. So we're gonna have to be very careful now as we remove everything, because I want to find out exactly where that pressure is going. So to remove now, so the first thing I'm going to take now is going to be this accumulator. So we're going to remove this accumulator and then we will carry on, because there is 3 bolts underneath the accumulator that we're going to need in order to remove these Mechatronics sort of assembly underneath. Okay, so let's going to remove this. Then if you want to carry on, we're going to have to take these 2 bolts to remove this motor, and we take these out, and then we need to take 2 bolts holding the pump itself to access 2 bolts, or 1 bolt underneath the pump, and I think there's 3 bolts I think underneath the actually motor. So we're going to have to remove these 3 bits anyway if you want to go any further. Okay, the accumulator is out. Now, yeah, I'm losing oil from there. A bit of paper underneath. Okay, I've seen them. They are known for cracking this housing. Doesn't seem to be this the case, although could have a micro crack somewhere. Okay, so we're gonna have to carry on digging into this, to be fair with you. I just hope I can see where the problem is, because if I open all of this and I don't see where the leak is, then we're gonna have a problem. So okay, right, let's gonna remove the motor perhaps on this side. here. It's not right. Okay. There. So I'm pretty sure, guys, there is plenty of videos out there showing you this. Okay. That's right. Okay, so now, so we could have also, I don't think that's the problem, I hope it's not the problem, we could have a bad pump. So maybe the pump is not pumping enough to build the pressure. Let's take these off here. So you have two bolts, you don't need to take the top or the bottom, you can't get to the bottom really anyway. So let me show you this way so you can see, damn it. So you can't really take these ones, they are actually different heads. So the ones you need to take is these ones on the sides, which is the ones you can access both. So the rubber seal is in place here on the pump and it looks okay to me. We might just open, it looks like it's pumpy, but we might just dismantle the pump as well just to make sure later on. But for now we're going to carry on. So the next step, guys, is no rocket science, is just take all the bolts that holds these sort of manifold into this housing, which is these bolts here. You have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 bolts. So we're going to remove them all and then we'll carry on. Okay, and just before we now take all the bolts out, so I took them all out and then I just tied this one and this one again. Not tight, but just snagged in there to remove the pistons here, because otherwise you can't remove, or at least to remove the top piston. So to remove this, we'll just do this. I don't really want, okay, so we just pull it out. That's it. Actually, Cormach on this one is really good. It's not even split yet. Okay, so we take these off. I believe the pistons are the same size, but I mark them 091E. I'll see if the other one is the same. Before that, we need to pull this little thing out. Okay. And now there is a circlip in there that's gonna have to come out. So I'm gonna have to get my pliers for that. Hold on. No, this one is the other one. Put it in there. There it is. And now we should be able to pull this thing. To pull this thing, I usually put my finger like this. And I just drag it out. There's too much oil still in there. Ooh, it's a tight fit. There we go. Okay. These sleeves, I believe they are the same for both, so you don't need to worry about mixing them up. So now we can take these bolts again. There's only 3 that I put back in just to make sure these would be 100% aligned. Probably I should have done that before, but honestly I kind of forgot about that bit. These bolts as well, guys, there's only 2 sizes, so the small ones goes on the deeper holes, the top, the big long ones goes on the higher ones, even though there is different heights on the top bolts, but doesn't matter, they are all the same size, so you don't need to worry. So now we should be in a position to remove these off. Okay, so there we go. Oh, come on. Is let's gonna pull this to the side. There, the filter as usually is completely black, but that's normal. That's absolutely normal. To be honest with you, it's not a lot of dirt, at least on this side. They look quite clean. The body looks really clean. Gonna have to clean all of these, but at the moment I'm just curious to see where this oil was leaking. That's my main thing. That's my main thing. Come on, show me you are cracked somewhere. No, you are not. Sometimes these body cracks and allows the oil to leak. Can't really see any cracks on this one, which might gonna be a bad sign. Maybe of dirt in there, but that's kind of normal. Okay. This is not very good. This is not very good, guys. It's not very good. That I cannot see where the problem is. That's literally crap. Do we have a bad pump only? Do we have a bad body? Do we have a open solenoid that is not closing properly? What the heck do we have here? Okay, let's kind of take the solenoids and see if we see anything on them. Let's see what we have here. Actually, before I do that, let me test all the solenoids. Although there was no faults for the solenoids, but let's just do a quick test onto them. And we're going to do that no more no less than using 12 volts. Works. Different sound on that one. Okay, they all work, that's for sure. Right, I'm gonna have to go slowly on this, inspecting everything. I'm going to take the solenoids off, inspect everything carefully, see if I see anything wrong. and that's about it for now, so stay tuned. We'll see where we get. Okay, so far I've dismantled pretty much everything. I've been here testing these valves now removed, and to be fair with you, they all seem to be opening and closing fine. I can't really test if they are closing fine, but they are definitely, the plunger is definitely moving back and forwards as you do it. Quick note, when you open these, be careful with these little sort of ball bearings. They have specific places where they go. There's two on this side, there's one on that side, so just be careful with that. And they're all working fine. All the seals, they have 3 seals each, one here, and one there. They all seem fine on every single one of them. Don't swap them over, because they have, there's 2 at least. The ones for the, I believe it's the ones for the clutch actuators, they are slightly different if I'm not mistaken, so be careful with those so you don't swap them around. Other than that, they are all the same pretty much. And I've been here just try to see, guys, I would love to see a crack somewhere. I would love to see these broken. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that. So at the moment, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know yet what my problem is. Right, so I think my next step is gonna be, here there's nothing else to dismantle, to be fair. So I think my next step is gonna be open the pump, just curiosity, see if the pump looks okay inside. But you know, the frustration is not very good when you open it. You can't really physically see something wrong straight away. The motor was speeding, it was running at the right speed, pretty much, so I'm not 100% sure what the heck's going on here right now. But yeah, let's go over this pump and see if there's anything obvious inside. Okay, and at first glance everything looks okay, unless we have the seals, but the seals, they look good, obviously flapped out because they have been here compressed, but they're not damaged. The pump itself looks okay. Can't really see nothing damaged. There's not a lot of play on the cogs, so as you can, I don't know how I'm showing you this, I hope I'm showing it okay. So there's no excessive play or anything like that, so it looks okay to me. There is a tiny bit of play on, of wear in the housing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the camera. I don't know how good it comes on camera. There is a tiny bit of wear, but it's nothing major really. I don't know if this would be causing any issues, to be fair with you. It's nothing major. Right, not gonna lie, right now I'm not 100% sure what will be the problem. Okay, so let me continue to check. I'm gonna check this side now, although this side there's not a lot to check on there, but we'll give you a look, quick look, see if there's anything wrong. Okay guys, a few days later, today is what, Wednesday. We are back into this. I got the repair kit. I did a different video, but I deleted the clip by mistake where I've showed you the kit all in place, etc, etc, but I just messed it up by deleting the clip by mistake. I do apologize. So I'm back to this again. But yeah, so the repair kit just came, so it comes with all the seals, all the gaskets, filter, and I decided to stop here at this point just to highlight something. So this is the new body, so this is the old body, so we're going to replace the body just in case if there is something that I missed. I don't think I did, I can't see any cracks, but there is a replacement. We used the replacement. So it comes with all the rubber gaskets, etc, including for these pistons here, etc. So these ones, then you have the sleeves at the back right there. But I stopped here just to highlight. I'm doing now the last 3 solenoids, and I just thought to highlight the fact that these gaskets or these rubber O-rings, they are very, very similar in size. There's a small difference between them, so make sure you actually so there's 3 sizes, a bigger, a smaller, and a smaller. As you can see, if you put them on top, you can see there is a slightly difference. So that's the bigger one. This is the middle, and then when you put that one on top, you can see there's a small difference. So I just thought to highlight this to make sure you pay attention to this part, so you don't mix the O-rings, because then it's not going to seal properly. Yeah, I've deleted the clip. I can't believe this. And there's no recycling bin on my phone on this S7. There is on the S10, but not on the S7, so I can't recover the video now. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so we're going to put everything back together. And again, I repeat myself, I just hope that the only issue was these seals leaking, one bit here, one bit on another seal, a bit on another seal, was preventing the pump, the unit, from building the pressure. Old oil perhaps not helping. The pump itself is already assembled, okay. There is very, very small wear inside the pump. I don't think that is causing my issue. If it is, I do have a spare unit. I'm going to put it back with all the original parts. If I need to drain the oil to change more parts, I will. I have a spare unit here. That the only, there it is, there's there. I showed you already on the video for the Audi. I think the only thing wrong with that one was that one of the sensors on the TCU, these sensors at the back, is cracked. So the TCU is bad, but as far as I'm aware, the unit was good. So yeah, as I was saying, so if I need to replace any parts, I will take it from that unit. I don't think the pump is my issue. I don't think the accumulator is my issue, because if the accumulator was the issue, at least the way I look at it is that it would build the pressure up to whatever, but then would lose the pressure very quickly because the accumulator was not there to accumulate any pressure. So but the pump would definitely build the pressure up to above 42 bars, whatever. But so I don't think that's my issue. The motor itself, I don't think is the motor as well. If you watch the video for the actually car itself, when I'm diagnosing it, you're going to see that on live data is showing my pump running at the correct speed, or is showing my pump running at the correct speed. So I think the module, the TCU, is asking for 2,200 RPMs, and I think that's exactly what the pump is running at. So I don't think that's my issue either. If we need to get to it, oh well, we'll have to get to it again, but I don't think it is. I'm hoping that is only gaskets, and all this service will fix my problem. I'm planning to run the pump on the bench before I put it on the car, just to make sure it builds the pressure. So if we need to get to it again, I can do it without taking it in and out of the car, because it's obviously way more work. But I'll get to that when I get to that stage. So I'm gonna carry on. I will take you through anytime I see anything that is a little bit more important. But for now, we're just gonna carry on. Putting gaskets and O-rings, etc., and rebuild this unit. Okay, another very, very quick important note here. Don't forget to put these ball bearings. There's two on this side, and on the other side there's only one, so do not forget about those. I've been checking these. It's made of plastic, sort of, so I've been checking to see if there's any cracks, anything like that. It is absolutely spot on. I can't see nothing wrong. So let's kind of carry on to put these on. So don't forget the ball bearings, and don't forget the gaskets. Okay, another stop. The valves are on the body. I ended up only giving 7 Newton meters. I thought that was enough. Obviously it's new seals, etc. So and gaskets, but anyway, 7 looks okay to me. The only thing I would say is I've done, like, I tied them up in stages, and I've done this bolt first, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one. I didn't just, you know, I thought it would make more sense. Guys, it might be that this is not even for torque. It might be that you need to torque these, I don't know, to 5 Newton meters, and then you give a certain angle. I'm not sure, guys, but I don't have that information. And again, if any of you do have that information, just share it. I'll be more than happy. And I'm sure others will as well. So this is done. So we're going to move into the next step, which is start to assemble these parts. I'm going to start by the pistons and put the pistons back on, and then carry on from there. Okay, so the pistons are all in place, or these cylinders all in place. Okay. I start to mark them at the start until I realize they are all the same. So not really, you can swap them around, they are all the same size. On this side, the gasket is in place. Don't forget these brackets here on the side. Okay, they only go one way. so you can't get them wrong. The filter also, don't forget the filter is like this. It goes on this position. Don't put it the other way around, because then it's not going to work. It needs to go like this. And now we are in position to fit the valve body. When you fit the valves, be careful for the connectors. They go in these positions. Okay, so the first connector on the right is facing left, second facing left, and then the other two facing right, and the bottom the same. Okay, so we are now in position to put these back in place. So we're going to put that, and then we'll carry on. Just one quick thing before I forget. Don't forget, make sure you have this bolt here. This is a bolt with a spring inside and a ball bearing at the bottom, right at the end. These Mechatronics, this valve body already came with the bolt in place, but be careful, because some of these repair kits, they come with that as well, but it doesn't come fitted. Okay, the same for this one here, this pin, again with a spring and a ball bearing at the bottom. Some kits, they come with this bit to fit, but they don't come fitted yet. So just be careful to check these two things before you assemble the valve body, because once you have this in place, if you forget that, as you can see, then you need to take the whole thing out again in order to put that back in. Okay, just don't forget that. Okay guys, this is in place. A quick correction here, I didn't give 25. I thought that would be way too much, so in this case I gave 15 only. That's when I felt was tight enough. So I gave 15 on each one, on each bolt. And now we're going to move into the next step, which is assemble the pump and the motor before we put the accumulator, because otherwise once you put the accumulator you can't, or you can, no, I think you can't remove the pump once you put the accumulator. So we're going to assemble the motor and the pump, and then we'll carry on from there. A quick note, don't forget this little O-ring in there. Okay, the accumulator is in place, and on the accumulator I gave it 100 Newton meters. I'm not sure how much it's supposed to be. Again, I gave it 70. And yeah, now we are going to fit the TCU in place, replacing all the gaskets that comes here, and these two thin gaskets as well. So replacing everything. So let's kind of put the TCU in place. Okay, I gave a clean to the Mechatronics, to the TCU, sorry, it is ready to go in there. Obviously, when you put, just a couple of things to highlight, these seals here, they have a little tab, as you can see in there, to go on these cutting here, so you can't really get them wrong. Make sure they sit properly on the groove all the way around. The same for these ones here, this one here and this one here. Do not forget the rubber O-ring in there for the pressure sensor in the TCU. Make sure these plugs are all aligned, this here, including this one. So obviously I made sure they were all sort of straight before I put them in, but if you need to twist them now, it's a little bit more tricky to do it. So make sure when you put them in, they are all aligned, so they all go like straight onto there. And now we're going to put this in place, and then we should be ready to, yeah, so after that we should be ready to put the cover on the other side and fill it up with oil. Okay, the TCU is in place. Now, one thing I like to do is up to you, if you want to do it or not. I like to put the TCU in place and push it all the way down without any screws. Then pull it back out and make sure everything went in place. Nothing has been broken or pushed out of place. Make sure the rubber seal is still in place. Then I put it again the second time, and then yes, I put the bolts. The bolts in this case I put them at 6 Newton meters, guys. And again, I'm going to refer these a few times more throughout the video, and plus at the end. Make sure, guys, if you feel the torques I'm giving you they are too high or they are too low, just have your own feel and do your own way. The only thing I would recommend is whichever torque you give on one bolt, just make sure you give all the same. So special on the valve body, on the big one, on this one, just make sure you give a uniform setting across all the screws, so they all push down into these equally. Other than that, it's up to you. Yes, I don't know where I took the 25 from. Actually, I went to check. I turned on my computer to check what I've done the last time. I had some notes on my server, and I went in there. I actually gave 15. So I don't know where I got the 25 from. I was mistaken. Anyway, so but yeah, you do your own, feel your own work, see what you reckon. Again, I don't have torques for this, so yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I gave 6 on this. Now we're gonna turn it around and put, oh sorry, we need to do the clutch. So now K1 and K2 pistons, so now we're gonna do that, and then we'll put the cover back in. Okay, yes, for K1 and K2 pistons, if you want to call it, I'll take you very quickly through. So the pistons in this case, they are exactly the same length, so you don't need to worry about swap them around, doesn't really matter, they are the same length. You have the sleeves. We're going to replace this seal, this o-ring, and this one at the back. Okay, we have new o-rings in there. And another thing that we're going to do is lubricate these sort of ball joints. Let me show you. So this is just, you just force it. I need 2 hands for this. Oh, there we go. So it comes out. Now we're going to dip it a little bit on some grease, put it back on, and then we'll do the same on this end before we put these caps and before we put the new sort of dust protector things, and that's it. So we're just going to put it back on, and that's it. I don't think there's nothing else special about this part. On the pistons, guys, just I forgot one thing, which is to replace these here, this seal, I don't know what you call it, to replace this. Why is it not focusing today? To replace these, you just need to take this circlip here at the back, okay, and then you take this, you take the magnet, there's another little thing underneath, then you pull these out, then you put it all back on, and you put the clip back in. That's all, okay? Okay guys, the pistons are in place, and now we're going to put the drain plug before we forget about it. And then we're going to put the cover on this side and put a liter of oil and give it a test on the bench, see if it builds the pressure. Okay, and you might be wondering why I got the TCU out again, because when I was double checking everything and go through, just, you know, visually check before I put the oil back in, I look at these seals, and I don't know how I looked at these 2 seals, then I looked in there, was another one in there, and then I start thinking, what the heck, did I forgot to put one? And I did when I paused to record, because I record halfway. I put, if you remember, I put this seal and this seal, and then I went back to see the footage, and then I stopped to record to make sure you would get these properly, make sure this fits properly, blah blah. And then on the footage I realized that seal was not in place yet. So obviously I forgot to put that one before I assembled this. So glad I've seen that, and I need to start to think to pause to record when I'm actually at certain stage rather than halfway through a job, because as you've seen, it was easy to forget, but luckily we found it on time. I think is another call to make you aware that how important it is for you to be focused and to make sure you do things step by step and you don't skip anything, because it is easy to get it wrong. So yeah, so now we're going to put that seal, put it all back on. The cover is already in place on the other side, okay, and then we'll fill it in with oil on the oil filler at the top, which I'll show you when we get there. Okay, so the filling is here. It's a little hex bolt. We're going to put the liter of oil. So there it is. Now let's go and inspect to make sure there is no leaks. Yeah, so far so good. I'll leave it here for 5 minutes, make sure there's no leaks anywhere. In the meantime, we can put this back on. And then we're going to plug it in on a bench and see if we have pressure. Okay, all the connections are done. I'm ready to turn the power on. I'm not going to be able to use the maxi Cs because the maxi Cs is completely flat. I think I put it on a box and I forgot to turn it off. So we're going to use VCDS, but same thing. So we're going to turn the power on. It should kick in running straight away. It might take a little bit to build the pressure, obviously, but if it is fixed, it should build the pressure and it should eventually stop. And then we're going to look on the live data to see exactly what we have in there. Okay, so it's going to do it. Whew, I'm nervous, guys. It's going to turn the power on. It definitely didn't run. It definitely didn't run. It's not a very good sign. Let's see if we have communications. No, we don't. Okay, so it looks like I might have something connected wrong here. Let me have a look. Okay, so we are back in business. So I think one of these little cables that I have, is now making very good contact. So everything is running. Plug it in. We have connections, as you can see. And when I turned the power on, I heard the motor inside just running for like a second. And now what we're going to do, we have loads of codes. So we're going to clear these codes. Due to excessive voltage. What? That's interesting. Let me see, I'm at, should be 12 volts coming from my transformer. Okay, so this is actually a few days later. In the meantime, I had other things to do for myself. And I never worked on these again after the last, well, I done a little bit more testing. I'll take you through now quickly and I'll tell you exactly where we are. So unfortunately I was unable to test the mechatronics on a bench. The last clip you saw it running, but there was a twist into it. I'll tell you in a second. But before that, when he reported the high voltage, so basically I have two power supplies here that I've been using for years. There's one that is a 12 volts 10 amps, which was the one I initially connected, and for some reason was giving 16 volts, which obviously there is something wrong with it, and obviously the ECU was not happy with that. Then I changed from that one to my bench one, that one in there. But that one, that's when you've seen the pump running. But then, after a few seconds after that clip, the pump stopped and then was just stopping. It was just running like zzz, and you stop, zzz, and would stop. And basically was doing it every time my power supply would reach about 8 amps. My power supply was not capable of keeping the pump running and would stop. And the unit was just there on and off, was building the pressure, but was going on and off, on and off. And as higher the pressure, more difficult, more quickly my power supply would trip out. So I unplugged everything, and then I didn't have anything else here to test it. I have a battery in there that is actually on charge, but I think the battery is dead. So I'm gonna have to get another one for that sort of stuff, or get a proper power supply. So what I've decided to do is I put it on the car, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So it's now there. Is only put sorry guys, it's only with a few bolts in there, so there is. It only has 4 or 5 4 bolts on it. I think I only put 4 bolts just to keep it secured, and the only reason why I put the bolts and I put it actually in place is because I'm 90% sure if I just plug it in completely out of the gearbox, if the ECU would try to extend the K1 and K2, which is for the clutches, because if he does that, there's no stoppers for those pistons, which means if they were to be extended, they will just be pushed out of the mechatronics unit. So I don't know if he's going to do that or not, so we'll try now. It was not doing it on the bench in there, but it was no communications with the engine, with nothing. But now obviously it's going to be communications with everything, so I don't know what instructions are going to go around the network. I don't think it would do that, especially because the car is in park, so we shouldn't do that, but we will have to. I don't know, we will try now. Just to be on the safe side, I didn't want to be oil everywhere and extend the pistons, then I would have to get everything out again. So at the moment it's all in place, and I'm going to show you that hopefully it runs okay, and we'll go from there. So let's go inside the car, turn the ignition on, or maybe start the car and go from there. I want to plug the maxi Cs first, just to make sure we have communications and we are set up on the right page for me to show you the pressure building up and holding and all that good stuff. Okay, let's go quick to my unit. So I already turned the ignition on, the pump ran. It's the first time I turned the ignition on, so it ran for a little bit longer to build the pressure. And then I could hear definitely something going on inside the box. So it could be that it would do the same unplugged. Maybe not, because it wouldn't see the magnet sensors for the gear positions, etc. So I think when you put in park, the car tries to engage first gear as well. That's why that fork at the bottom right was engaged. Anyway, it's going to go to trouble codes, just clear any codes we have here. Okay, so passive, sporadic, blah blah blah. Okay, so all passives. So as you can see, all the gear changes, clutch, whatever. So obviously I still have that fork pushing the hands on the clutch, so that's still pushed in. And data bus, powertrain, blah blah blah. So we'll clear these codes. I'm not going to start the car, but we're just going to go back to my live data. Advanced. The voltage is a little bit low. Am I going to put the battery on charge? Okay, so let's going to look for my pressures. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. So now we are back in business. So 60, 42, as you can see, is slowly dropping, and as soon as it goes below, I should have showed you the. Oh, damn it! Now it just ran. Hold on. Okay, let me put in there. That's in voltage. Let me look for the. There we go. That should do. So now what we're going to see is when it goes below 42, you're going to see that the pump runs. So all these should come. There we go. And it runs for what, 2 seconds maybe to build the pressure. It's going to watch it again. Is literally 2 seconds. So that's it, guys. Problem is fixed. So in the end, guys, I'm gonna guess that the problem was the old seals that starts slowly leaking a little bit here, a little bit there, and all together would just drop in the pressure too much to a point that the pump couldn't keep up with the pressure anymore. So I think that's it. So now we're gonna carry on with the other video for this car, but this is how you, I hope is okay, and that is enough information here to show you how you service one of these mechatronics. As you've seen, it's not rocket science. Again, I do apologize for some of the torques, for the torque information that I might give you wrong. But again, guys, a lot of these you can do just by feeling. You'll see when enough is enough. On the valve body, the only thing I would say is just make sure you do all the bolts the same torque, so you don't have bolts pushing more than some others. Other than that, as soon as you feel is okay, take the torque off that bolt and just put everything else the same, and I think you'll be more than okay. And again, and I know I'm going to repeat myself, if you do have any information about all the torques inside these Mechatronics, would be really appreciated. You know how to reach me, so feel free to share that information. But for this video, guys, and with no further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope there's some information here you find useful. If you do have any questions, any comments, you know how it works. You can just you can just put them below. And like always, thanks for watching.